Hello, everyone, my dear viewers, and thank you for coming to my channel. And before you start the video, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. I will be very pleased, so let's go. Every 300 years, a giant ancient snake demon reincarnates and possesses the body of a member of the Kumo family. This demonic curse takes over someone's body, turning him into the most powerful demon lord whose only desire is to destroy the world. Our story begins with the Kumo family sharing the joy of a newborn Tenka. The older one is told by his parents that he became a big brother and will study our main character, Staramaru. The family continued to grow, and they had another younger brother. However, one night, a mysterious man in a fox mask sneaks into their house and kills their parents. The masked man strangles an argument, claiming that he is responsible for the death of his parents. Tenka appears, and hearing his brother scream, he tries to fight the guy. Noticing that everyone is in danger, and even his younger brother's quarrel takes the family sword to fight back. The guy in the mask turns to him and attacks him. Tenka tries to push his brother away, but gets hit with the enemy sword on the back. The quarrel begins to cry, noticing the wound of the Tenka, but the older brother smiles at him, saying that he should smile because he will always carry him with care hardship. The guy in the mask runs away, and the three brothers manage to stay alive. Several years passed, and the brothers began to catch and transfer the criminal to the Gakumandi prison, the imminent prison where the criminals were apprehended after rampaging over a new law prohibiting the carrying of swords. After that traumatic night, the fight is tormented by memories and training to reach the level of his brother, who is much stronger. He only uses the fan as a weapon to avoid injuring anyone. The police arrive and ask for help in catching the escaped criminal. Tenka speaks with sorrow and sensitivity to stay behind and make quarrels feel treated like a child. Tenka just doesn't want his brothers in danger. He always refuses to practice a fight that doesn't know he's actually the strongest of the three brothers. The quarrel simply looks like a tank and does not recognize its own power. When Tenka leaves, the argument insists that he and the reader follow him to help with the situation. They find themselves in the forest, where they notice the criminal and run after him. The quarrel enters the battle and defeats the boy. Feeling proud of himself that he was able to cope with the criminal without needing help and protection of the Tenka, he runs away. But the criminal wakes up again and attacks the fight from behind, strangling him. The quarrel loses consciousness, thinking it is dying, but Tenka saves it. The day ends with the elder carrying his younger brother home on his back. The fight cries, feeling inferior and feeling that he was not strong enough to defeat even one guy, while his brother was strong enough. Tenka allows him to cry his heart out, considering it his duty to make his brothers feel better and safe at all costs. The next day, the quarrel goes to the doctor to process the wounds and get medicine. Upon returning home, he sees a stranger named Naoto, who persuades the Chada to go with him to a Gokuman's. The quarrel immediately stops the Chatora, pretending to be a dash, and sends him for Cesar, their close friend and housekeeper. Naoto attacks him, and the fight gets kicked in the butt by the Naoto over and over again, which makes him realize how weak he is against the real bad guys. He escapes, but Naoto follows him, revealing his weapon with many blades, and tries to stab him. Shisaru finally comes and protects him. They fight at the speed of light, and he beats Naoto half to death. He gets up and continues attacking. Tenka finally arrives and helps them. He confronts Naoto in the forehead and beats him, but he does not give up. But as soon as he tries to get up again, he stays and poisons Yamena and deals with him. At home, the quarrel overhears the conversation between Tenka and the nerd and asks what the orcs are, but Tenka as always dismisses him because she wants to protect him. Soru is annoyed that Tenka treats him like a child. He promises to become much stronger so that Tenka can also rely on him. He returns to his usual training. Tenka continues to be the responsible brother he should be and meets Yamei again. Government forces whose objective is to find the demon Orochi and destroy it. But he was once part of this organization with his father, who was its founder. The next day, the quarrel is sent to the Yamei office, but to ask the Sosa, the commander of the squad, and a former friend of the Tenka, to train him to become a great swordsman. But Sosa kicks him out because Tenka betrayed him by leaving the squad. He is visited by another Yamainu named Lang and offers to train him if the fight goes undercover in Gakumenza to find information about the prisoners. The quarrel agrees and goes to prison dressed in a wig. He enters as a prisoner. He sneaks around and overhears a conversation with someone, but is caught and thrown into the room. A man in a fox mask appears in the room. This is the man in the mask who killed his parents fighting. The quarrel strangles him, and then he hits the wall and knocks him out. He wakes up in the clinic after a female security guard finds him unconscious. She asks about the man in the room and wants to make an alliance by arguing to get information about him and get revenge. Upon returning home, the tank chastises him for putting his life in danger for a Yamena who can use him. The next day, the quarrel goes to the Yamena. He reports to a friend who was not interested at first, but when he heard the information, he agrees to take him under his wing and train him. The next morning, he wakes up from another violent nightmare and weeps for his past and weakness. Meanwhile, Tenka finally reveals the secret to the nerd, Shirasu, and the doctor. He is a vessel of the Orichi. The quarrel returns home to the crying Chutra, while Tenko is arrested. Wotho reveals that their older brother is a vessel of the orc demon snake, and that he will be executed before the demon takes full possession of him and begins to riot. The quarrels and the Chitaras flee to the execution site to find the Tenku who has the Harari executed. Tenka sees his younger brothers fighting the guards to get inside while he is talking to the seer, who wants to know the truth about his desertion. They run up to him and cry to keep him inside, but the Tenka hugs them and says goodbye to them. He tells them to smile at all times and even in the face of hardship. All the residents of the city appear and try to stop the execution by protecting Tenka. He's the hero of the city. He's always helped people and fiercely defended his younger brothers. But Tenka, being a fool, tells them to live their lives and goes high until they die. A week after the Tenki's death, there are still clouds everywhere above the city, and the sun is still out. The quarrel asks Shiraz why the city's condition did not improve when the Orichi vessel was destroyed, but he himself does not know the answer. He goes outside and meets a Chutara who is very sad at the death of his brother. He misses him because he relies on him as a hero, and the quarrel comforts him. He thinks it's his duty to grow stronger to protect his little brother and family name. He goes off to train with the Soi, but he can't stop thinking about his brother and gets distracted, which is why he is beaten. He returns home feeling defeated and thinking about leaving. He can't just smile like Tank and not be as strong as he used to be. Chutaru hears a conversation between the quarrel and Shirasu that Tenka was strong enough to withstand the murder of their parents and sustain severe injuries protecting them. Chutara, who has been told that their parents died of an illness, begins to wonder about it, but neither Tenka nor the argument answers him. The younger brother runs away sad, feeling like a stranger, and goes to find the already dead Tank. In the middle of a search for a Chitora, a quarrel finds a wounded woman guard Naish and brings her home for treatment. As usual, two policemen come to ask for help in an argument about an escaped criminal, forcing him to go on a quest like the good old days. But it's not that simple. The Nishiks come out and try to help because she's a Fuma ninja clan that Shirasu was in before they were wiped off the face of the earth. The fight tells her to do whatever she wants, and she decides to stay here after successfully apprehending the criminal. The next day, the quarrel decides that he will continue his training, even if he does not become as strong as Tenka, but until he can defend his younger brother. Chutara meets the Nado, who has escaped from the Gakumanza, who tells him that the Tenka was killed. He starts crying, finally realizing the truth. Navo tries to persuade and influence the Chitra to take revenge on the people who killed his brother, namely the government. The next morning, the quarrel awakens from a nightmare in which he was strangled by niches, but he quickly apologizes. Later, a pine tree appears to visit him. He tells him what the Oricha really is, because he and the Tenka were able to act quickly, because many previous vessels didn't even realize that the demon of snakes lived in them until it was too late. Another member of the Yameni Takeda comes to inform the Sosa that their fellow Takuna were brutally attacked last night nearby. He begins to accuse the quarrel of being so weak that people could be attacked so easily near his home. While sorting out his belongings, the argument finds blood on his clothes, which he does not remember how he got it. He was suddenly filled with memories of the previous night when a mine was attacked. He remembers being the one who attacked him and realizes that his brother sacrificed himself for him. Then he learns he is the true vessel of the orc. Meanwhile, Shirase learns that the nerd is a vessel that is reincarnated every 300 years to seal the orcs. Upon learning that she will interfere with the resurrection of the orc, Shirase stabs her to death. He has been telling her his plan since he came to the sanctuary to look after the vessel. He knew from the beginning that Tenka would be killed because that was his plan. The argument runs to the pine tree, showing him the traces of the curse on his body and asking him to kill him before he is completely transformed. But the sucker stops him and dissuades him. The ninja Fuma begins to surround the Yamena's office in search of its Orochi master. The squad goes outside to fight off the clan, and the Susa leaves the mess inside the Takeda and also goes to fight. But the masked man from the prison breaks through the window and knocks out the Takeda. He reveals that he is the twin brother of the Shirase and that he did not kill his parents. It was Shirase. The quarrel barely knows what's going on, and the man tries to attack him. But Shirase appears and stops his twin brother from attacking the ship and the master. They bow to the quarrel and appear as those who will serve it in its destruction. Confused that he was betrayed by a man he trusted, the quarrel tries to escape, but Shirase stops him. Meanwhile, the Chutara is still in contact with Naoto, who advises him to kill several women to show that he is serious about avenging his brother. However, the reader cannot do so. Suddenly, a group of bandits surrounds the women, but then the man in the hood appears, who rescues them, and it turns out to be a tank. Tenka is captured and wakes up after having a sweet nightmare about being the older brother of two boys, who later turn into an orc. It is revealed that Tenka was seriously injured when Shirase killed his parents. His desire to protect his younger brothers forced him to accept an offer to become a test subject. He was led by a special substance made from orsic cells. The substance quickly healed his wounds and fused with him, turning him into an artificial vessel. The nerd comes and tells him that Shirase betrayed them because he wants to serve the Orochi whose quarrel is. Tonka is released from the shackles and goes to rescue his brothers. Meanwhile, the quarrel in the role of the Orochi demonstrates its immense power, destroying the Gokumen's prison in one explosion. Nishiki comes to him and swears loyalty. She tells him about the cougar's twin swords, which can separate the orcs from his vessel. Wanting to save the quarrel from destruction, she takes the swords and flees with them, giving her allegiance and her revenge, not to the Fuma clan. He is saved by a raccoon that can magically grow in size. They encounter a niche that the Ori chased, but as soon as it catches up with it, the Yamena appears and intercepts it. The nerd appears and orders the Chitra to lead the Orochi through the tunnel under the sun to Kyoto, where the Orochi will burn under the sun. They run there, but they hit a dead end and the yells catch up with them. He attacks the Chutara, but double swords soaked in magical spells protect him and repel the yellows. The top of the tunnel collapses and the tank appears, calling for its brothers. The sun falls on the screams, burns it, and makes it run away. Tenka chases him to fight him. Orochi escapes through the roof of the tunnel, but is caught with this one, which stops him with a tank. The Chutara stabs the orcs in the stomach with double swords, and a demonic snake breaks out of the body of the quarrel and rises into the clouds. The quarrels wake up, see Tenka alive and playfully beat him for putting him through hell. They tell him that he must defeat the Orochis as he was his vessel. They run for the Orochis. The sky is cut open, and the screamers appear and begin to destroy the city with their power. The quarrel finally arrives where the Orochis are, and Shirase tries to force the snake to kill him. But the Chetra, along with the Tenka and the Harari, quickly come to his aid. Shirase's twin brother appears, grabs the Tenka and Suseya, and jumps into the mouth of the Orochi. The quarrel continues the fight and losing his brother a second time. But Tenka reappears, and together with Yamena and the townspeople, they fight back at full strength. The spectacle prompts a quarrel against the demon snake. He draws the Ava sword and strikes the orc monster, finally realizing that he has achieved his goal of becoming stronger than the shadow and able to protect his brothers. With the help of Chatora and Takeda, they successfully kill and seal the orcs forever. The sky is clear and the battle is over. Tenka goes to talk to the terrace, demanding explanations, but he only looks with regret at the three brothers, recalling the peacetime they spent together as a family. He says goodbye to them and falls off a cliff. That's it. My story is over, and if you liked my video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video.